We're really looking forward to coming back to the Netherlands. We didn't have long there in 2012, so this time we've got a full month of shows, so it's going to be really great. We get to see parts of that country that we didn't have time to last time, so it's going to be amazing. Tubular Bells has meant a lot to me over the course of my life. It's become a sort of recurring soundtrack. My parents used to play it a lot when I was a kid, and I got interested in it again when I started learning guitar as a teenager.
In probably the mid-90s, I was collecting a lot of records, and I was kind of obsessed with music from the 60s and 70s. And so this was just one of the many that I was listening to at the time. Then when Aidan and I started doing this project together, I kind of got a new affection for it.
We just happen to be big fans of that era of British music, the instrumental folk rock and prog rock stuff, and Tubular Bells is just one of the special ones. It stands out because it's got a subtlety to it and a magic that sets it apart from all the rest.
Aidan and I have been playing together for years and years. We met each other when we were in school. We didn't go to the same school, but we lived nearby.
We had a lot of common friends, and we became closer after high school. Ended up moving in together when we were 19 years old, and we have played in lots of bands together. We've recorded each other's solo projects and helped each other out with songs across the years, so we've had a tight working relationship. And what brought this project about is that Danny and I, we hadn't done anything together for years, and we just thought it would be a nice way to break the ice again.
So we decided that, we'd make a point of getting together and seeing what would happen. And this is it. We didn't specifically choose this record. It just kind of came about by accident. One night we were listening to records and having a bit of a jam with a few instruments, and Tubular Bells just happened to be one of the records that we put on, and we tried to play along with it.
Pretty soon we became obsessed with the idea, and we took it further than we ever thought we would. Now we're touring it around the world, so this is the next step of our friendship, I suppose.
We completely pulled the whole album apart and then put it back together again, and come to realise just how complex some of the parts are in there, especially considering how young Mike Oldfield was when he wrote the piece. And he was 17 or 18 or something like that. There are so many parts in this piece which I'm really fond of. And I think to perform, what I enjoy the most is when we get to Piltdown Man on the drums and Aidan's growling all the parts. It's more of a release because the show's so stressful to get through. You push through and you push through and you push through, and you get to that point where you can just let loose for a little bit and not have to worry about playing 50 instruments at once. Well, I don't have to anyway at that point. Aidan still does.
It's difficult to pick a favourite part of Tubular Bells because there's so much going on, but I think if I had to, the last 6 minutes or so of part 2 I think is just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard, and it still gives me chills every time I hear it. it feels like the journey's end, and I look forward to playing that every night.
Our aim really is to try and get it sounding exactly the same as the record, and we've come very, very close. Mind you, every time we perform it, we think we're there. We think we've got it as close as we can get, and then we come back later and we've got more ideas. So it just keeps growing.
I think it's crucial when you're interpreting another composer's work to bring your own sense of creativity and individuality to it. Danny and I have very individual playing styles as well as composing styles, and bringing that to Mike Oldfield's most famous work has been quite interesting.
It's obviously Mike Oldfield's music, but it feels like our show. So much work into, there's lots of problem solving to try and put it all together. Who's going to play what lines and how you're going to balance that while you've got to change to the next section. You've got to think ahead to, what instruments are needed there. It's been an incredibly big creative outlet for the both of us.
It's very different from the way Mike Oldfield would play it, yet it's very much, the spirit of the piece is very much intact. But I think we bring a lot of our own style and personality to the piece.
The beauty of this piece of music is it's got this big arc. It's like a film score. It goes through different moods and emotions, has its ups and downs, it's gentle, it's aggressive, all these things. And so, in one sense, we want people to experience that at a musical level. You could close your eyes and just be taken on that journey. But in another sense, we like keeping the audience on the edge of their seats, because what we're doing on stage could fall apart at any minute.
Every night it's different for the audience and for us. Certain things can go wrong, certainly, but also we interpret the music according to the emotions and the atmosphere that's with us on the day. The music isn't completely flexible, but there's room for it to ebb and flow a bit, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes we stumble upon some little surprises that we weren't expecting. We try things out. Sometimes we'll try out getting another detail in there, even if it is really risky.
A guitar might fall over, something might get unplugged, or we might just miss a beat, and then it's a disaster. So there's this element of circus to it as well, physical theatre. So enjoy the music, go on the ride, but at the same time also go on the journey with us and see if we make it to the end.
It's always mentally challenging. We have to think ahead all the time. And that never changes every show, no matter how familiar we are with the performance. It's always challenging. Sometimes there's a split second to make an instrument change, and that may go really smoothly one night, and the next night the guitar may fall off its stand, or the keyboard may come unplugged, or cymbals will fly off, and we just have to keep going.
There's times when you're playing a keyboard with one hand, you're tapping notes on a guitar with your other hand, and you're pushing pedals with your feet and hitting percussion, and there's even moments when you might have 2 seconds between what you're playing on one side of the stage and the next instrument you've got to play is all the way on the other side of the stage.
That's the trick of it. If the music stops, then we haven't achieved our goal. I think to this day we have always managed to keep the music going no matter what's gone wrong, and some pretty amazing things have gone wrong.
Although it's pretty well rehearsed, we know it's on a knife edge. We know that the slightest movement in the wrong way will ruin it, the change. And then it's time to improvise and try to get it all back on track, and then, you know, keep pushing. The aim's always, once you play that first note, there's no stopping. You've got to get to the end, no matter what goes wrong.
As to the future of the show, we've got some more shows coming up, hopefully at the end of 2014, and we've got plans to go further abroad in 2015, and Danny and I are also working on a new show, which we are going to keep secret for the time being, but it's something we're definitely working on, so looking forward to sharing that with people as it comes to hand.
I think it's really important that people are aware of the history behind the music that they're listening to today. And by doing this show, we just kind of open a little door to a period of time, and maybe, just maybe, some of the younger audience members will go and have a listen. And that's what I did when I was a teenager. I completely immersed myself in what contemporary musicians at the time were influenced by. And then you follow it, you know, it's a kind of a rabbit hole. Once you go down, it keeps going. You go back to the 70s and you realise who they were listening to in the 60s, and then you go back to the 50s, to these blues artists, to these jazz artists. It all comes together to make what music is today.